Look at my poor ex. Still broke, still a nobody after all these years. And an imaginary wife? Oh. Still poor, still alone. Did you invent a wife just to save face, Montreal?
3 years now. You still hasn't changed, have you?
Then where is this mystery wife? Or does she only exist in your head?
She's on her way.
Sure she is, inventing an entire marriage, almost sad.
I run a construction and infrastructure company. We just closed a contract with the city.
Look at my poor ex. Still broke, still a nobody after all these years. And an imaginary wife. Still poor, still alone. Did you invent a wife just to save face, Montreal? 3 years now. You still hasn't changed, have you? Then where is this mystery wife? Or does she only exist in your head? She's on her way. Sure she is. Inventing an entire marriage. Almost sad. I run a construction and infrastructure company. We just closed a contract with the city. She had no idea. 2 days earlier, the man standing in front of her had signed a $412 million infrastructure contract with the city of Chicago. My name is Montreal Kane. I'm 42 years old, and I've spent most of my life believing one thing. A man's worth isn't in what people say about him at a party. It's in what he builds when nobody's watching. 20 years in construction taught me that. Marriage taught me it twice as hard. 8 years ago, my ex-wife walked out of our house on the south side of Chicago with 2 wife suitcases and a look like she'd already moved on before she packed the first one. I didn't chase her. I let her go, and I went quiet. Some folks mistake quiet for broken. They're never the same thing. That brings me to a Saturday night in October at our high school reunion, in the grand ballroom of the Chicago Marriott downtown. The first reunion I'd attended since the divorce. I sat near the back with a glass of ice water, listening to my ex-wife Titilio. Swall's laugh carry across the room, the way it used to when she thought she'd won something. Look at Montreal over there, she said, loud enough for half the ballroom. Still wearing that tired face. 8 years since the divorce, and the man's still alone. Some men just never climb out of the hole they dig for themselves. I didn't answer. I just watched. What nobody in that ballroom knew was that 2 days earlier, my legal team had finalized an 18-month deal, a $412 million infrastructure contract with the city of Chicago. My name was on it. Not a company name. Mine. Beside Titilio stood a man I didn't recognize. Tall, groomed, in a suit that cost more than it fit him. His eyes kept dropping to my watch, my father's old steel watch. Not admiring it, but measuring it. Like a problem he was trying to solve. My grandmother used to say, on her porch on 79th Street, the folks who talk loudest about your failures are usually the ones most afraid you're about to prove them wrong. She was right. 2 days earlier, my friend Faye had pushed me to come. Go close the door properly, she'd said. I almost said no. I had a good, quiet life now. A home in the Gold Coast. A wife who loved me. Work that mattered. But something in me wanted to walk back into that room once. Not as the man who left broken, but as myself. So I came alone. My wife, Ash, ran an education foundation for kids on the south and west sides, and had a board meeting running late. She'd catch up with me there. In the ballroom, Titilio smiled the way people smile when they think they've already won. Still alone, Montreal? Or still swinging a hammer, hoping somebody notices? No, I said, calm. I'm married. She laughed, a big performative laugh. Married? That's rich. She turned to her circle. A man who couldn't build a stable life in 8 years suddenly has a wife nobody's heard of. 3 years now, I said. And where is this mystery wife? Home? Or maybe she doesn't exist outside your head? The man beside her, Corbin I'd learn, kept glancing at my watch, calculating. She's finishing a meeting, I said. She'll be here. Titilio's words dragged me back to nights I don't like remembering. Selling my grandfather's tools to pay for her certification program. Standing soaked outside a conference center while she finished networking, and her asking why I looked so pathetic. Double shifts to cover her sister's wedding gift she later claimed as her own. A 4-hour drive to fix her cousin's water heater, rewarded with a cold plate and a shut door. None of it had felt like sacrifice then. It had felt like love, the only way I knew to speak it. I checked the time. Across the room, Jandai, sharp-eyed, quiet since high school, now doing compliance audits on COD municipal vendor contracts, watched the exchange with her arms folded. She gave me the smallest nod, like she knew something the room didn't. Then the doors opened. Ash walked in a deep, midnight blue gown, moving like she'd never needed a room's permission to belong in it. Someone whispered, "Is that Kane, who runs the education fund?" Titilio turned and watched the color drain from her own face. Ash crossed straight to me, kissed my cheek. "Sorry I'm late, baby. That meeting ran long." Then, quietly, only for me, Jandai called me. "The contract closed this afternoon. $412 million. Done." Titilio stammered. "So, you're Montreal's wife?" "Yes," Ash said plainly. "And I'm very proud of my husband." Titilio tried to recover. "That's wonderful. I had no idea Montreal had someone like you. Most people don't take the time to find out what someone actually has," Ash said. "No malice. Just fact." Titilio, rattled, asked what I did now. "I run a construction and infrastructure company," I said. "We just closed a contract with the city." I didn't say the number. Corbin shifted uneasily beside her, the math no longer adding up in his favor. That's when Jandai stepped forward. "Titilio, that's enough. Some of us have known for years what kind of man Montreal is." She turned to the room. For 6 years, Montreal had quietly funded the entire scholarship endowment at their old high school. Every scholarship kid they'd clapped for, without ever putting his name on a plaque. She'd found out by accident, going through the fund's paperwork. The room murmured. Then Jandai turned to Corbin. "And you, I know exactly what you tried 2 years ago. The falsified subcontractor bid, the shell vendor account, trying to skim a city project. It failed because Montreal's team caught it. Titilio, you covered for him, didn't you?" Titilio turned on Corbin. "You told me that was a misunderstanding. Don't make this about me," Corbin said flatly, stepping back, distancing himself in real time. The same calculating look he'd worn all night, now aimed at his own exit. Titilio turned to me, desperate. "You knew about Corbin's scheme and never said anything?" "I knew," I said. "My legal team handled it quietly. Why didn't you tell me?" Ash answered instead, calm but firm. "Because there's something else, Titilio. Montreal knew about you and Corbin years before the divorce was ever filed." The room went silent. Titilio's composure finally broke. "You knew this whole time? Why didn't you say something? Why did you just let it happen?" "Because for a long time," I said, steady, no anger left. "I thought if I stayed quiet enough, worked hard enough, you'd eventually choose me on your own. I didn't want to force it. I wanted you to see me." I paused. "You never did. Eventually, I stopped needing you to." She turned on Corbin one last time. "You said you'd give me the life Montreal never could. What happened to all of that?" "Don't put that on me," he said, contempt in his voice. "I lied for you," she said, voice breaking, champagne trembling in her hand. "I told everyone tonight you were the better choice." "That sounds like a you problem," Corbin said, already halfway to leaving. The crowd thinned, people drifting away from the wreckage. I felt no triumph, just a quiet stillness. A door finally closing after 8 years. There was no need for cutting words. Some justice simply stands still while the truth does the work. Jandai murmured to me, "I probably should have said something years ago." "You said it exactly when it needed saying," I told her. Faye squeezed my shoulder. "Some friendships don't need much. Just someone standing next to you when the ground shifts." Titilio called after us as we left. "Montreal, wait, please." But I didn't turn around. Ash and I drove home along Lakeshore Drive in comfortable silence. She finally asked about a notebook she'd courts. Titilio in my old desk. Pages of every insult Titilio had ever said to me. Dated like records. "I wasn't keeping it to use against her," I said. "I was keeping it so I wouldn't forget who I used to let define me. Every time I thought about giving up on myself, I'd read a page. Not for the sting, for the reminder. Never again." "You could throw it away now," she said. "I think I finally don't need it anymore." At a red light, my phone buzzed. A text from Titilio. "I'm sorry for tonight. for a lot of things. I set the phone face down. Some doors don't need slamming shut, I said. You can just let them ease closed. The next morning, on the back porch with coffee, Ash asked, "You knew about the affair for years before the divorce. You stayed anyway. Why?" "I believed if I was successful enough, patient enough, she'd eventually see what she had," I said. "Somewhere along the way, I stopped needing her to see it. I just needed to see it myself." "Do you hate her?" "No. I forgave her a long time ago. What I hadn't forgiven, until last night, was the version of myself who believed he had to earn the right to be loved. The real win wasn't the ballroom, the scholarship reveal, or Corbin's fraud coming to light. It was standing on my own porch the next morning, coffee in hand, my wife beside me, finally free of needing anyone's applause. No ballroom gives you that. You have to build it yourself, morning by ordinary morning, long after anyone's come watching to see whether you will.